The podcast host, Joe Rogan, is now facing criticism after he pushed the anti-Semitic trope that Jewish people are, quote, into money. Here's what he said.
Ilhan Omar, where she's apologizing for talking about it's all about the Benjamins.
Yeah.
Which is just about money. She's talking about money.
She shouldn't have apologized.
I'll go ahead and
say
that's not an
it.
anti-Semitic statement. I don't think that is. It's about Benjamins or money. You know, the idea that Jewish people are not into money is ridiculous.
Listen.
That's like saying Italians aren't into pizza. It's stupid.
CNN media analyst and Axios media reporter Sarah Fisher is joining us now. Sarah, I mean, what are people saying about that moment?
People are outraged, but at this point, people are kind of getting used to this being a pattern with Joe Rogan. This isn't the first time that he's defended people who've made anti-Semitic remarks. Obviously, he's now coming out and making them. And I think people are frustrated that Spotify hasn't said anything yet, but historically, they take their time to respond to these things.
But you talked to Daniel Ek, who's the CEO of Spotify, about this. What did he say?
Not about this specifically,
but about
these bigger issues. Sure, this is something that Spotify's been talking about for a long time. How do they think about content moderation? Because they're not the same as Google and Facebook. They're a different kind of platform. Ultimately, obviously, they'll say that they care a lot about safety. But remember, they're a Swedish company. So they think about these things and how they play out in the US a little bit differently. The one thing that distinguishes Spotify and Daniel from other tech CEOs is they take their time. You're not going to see some sort of rushed policy implemented today. They'll probably come out and condemn these remarks. Maybe they'll throw a misinformation label. And then presumably everything will just move on. I'm not saying that that's what it should be, but that's what's happened in the past with Joe Rogan.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit just quickly about that, because you said they'll just throw up a label on it. That's what happens, like these streaming sites now, where you have to pay for the site. They're sort of the wild, wild west, where you can say what you want. There are no standards and practices, and really, you don't have to answer to anyone. So basically, this probably will not hurt Joe Rogan, and everyone will just sort of move on from this.
It's definitely not going to hurt Joe Rogan. It's not going to hurt Spotify. They do have some policies, but you're right. Streaming is the wild, wild west of content moderation.